Good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Ms. Lange. I'm the DVC Teaching and Learning, and it is a pleasure to meet all of you. It is my pleasure to be your program director tonight. And I'm very proud that we all managed to get here more or less on time. Cape Town traffic is not something that it is recommendable. All different universities have traditions and ceremonies that reflect the things that they value. And this celebration of ad hominem promotions is one such occasion. Universities are all institutions because they have been able to adapt and change to historic times. The professoriate is a fundamental link between change and continuity. So each new crop of professors help the university to think about itself. I think that becoming a professor is a fantastic achievement and it is a celebration of the individual as such. But becoming a professor is also entering into a community of professors. And your professing is something that it is important for the continuity of the institution and most certainly for the ability of the institution to reimagine and to rethink itself. And I think that in that sense, this is an absolutely wonderful occasion. Without getting too enthusiastic about all of this, let me ask the Vice-Chancellor to come and do his part in this ceremony.
And thank you, Professor Lange, for the introduction. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, friends, and also a very warm welcome to the families and of those who are being recognized tonight. And I'll say something about that in a moment, but it's really wonderful to be able to celebrate this not only with our university colleagues, but with their families. The purpose of our celebration, of our getting together, is to celebrate the ad hominem promotions of roughly 110 members of staff, both academic staff and some members of the technical staff. And it's not only, of course, to the rank of professor, but to each rank, from lecturer to senior lecturer to associate professor, and associate professor to professor. And this is something rather unique about the ad hominem process, or about the promotion process in universities. In most corporate environments, the promotion, being promoted, requires someone else to vacate a place. It requires a vacancy. In the case of the universities, the ad hominem promotion happens when the individual achieves the next level, the next step up. And so it doesn't depend on anyone else. It doesn't depend on a vacancy or someone to retire or to die. It is really just a recognition, and it's a ladder which academics will climb. And so to get to that promotion clearly requires an enormous amount of work. You've all produced portfolios of your teaching, of your research, of your socially responsive work, your engaged scholarship, and your academic leadership. And it's the assessment of all of those which is being recognized tonight on this ladder of achievement and promotion. So, congratulations to all of you. The celebration is not just for you as individuals for your achievement, but it's a celebration for what you've contributed and continue to contribute to the university. The university is what it is in terms of its reputation, its global position, its ability to attract students, and especially postgraduate students, its ability to attract research grants, its rankings. All of these are a result of the quality of the academics, and this ad hominem promotion recognizes the renewal of academia, the renewal of the professoriate, the expansion, because in fact the numbers have increased year on year almost for the last 11 years. And the university is indebted to you because our reputation is what you have made it. And as in fact we were in a workshop earlier today and a couple of colleagues were saying, it is amazing the quality of the academics and researchers we have here and teachers, This is what has made UCT what it is. You'll also see, as we call out the names and invite each of the people being promoted to be congratulated in person, you'll also recognize the evidence of transformation, the evidence of the diversity by gender and race of the people who are being promoted, and therefore the success of the many interventions that we've been pursuing over a number of years to increase the diversity, not just of the professoriate, but of the academic community as a whole. In terms of that process and the fairness of it, we have last year undertaken a study because there was a question in many people's minds about whether the promotions, ad hominem promotions process was indeed fair. And there was a concern or a question about whether there were any hidden biases, unconscious biases perhaps, in the process. These biases could manifest through the selection committee itself and its composition, since the selection committees are dominated by professors, and therefore because of the history of the university, those professors tend to be a majority white and male. And so there was the question whether possibly the composition of the committees might be compromising the opportunities of black and women academics to be promoted. But it's not just in the committee itself. There may be the selection criteria that work against one or other group. For example, if someone takes a few years off to have children, how does that affect their ability to climb that academic ladder, and does it simply delay it by a few years? Can we compensate for that? Does it have a permanent effect? Or it may be in much more subtle ways, where mentors and supervisors and heads of departments are either encouraging or discouraging of people to apply for promotion in the first place because of as I say, a subconscious bias that expects perhaps a higher standard or a higher bar for people of color or for women than might be expected of people who are part of the Old Boys Network. And so the study that was done was a study to look at how long does it take people to be promoted from one rank to the next? And does it we did this over for the period 2005 to 2015, and does it take longer for people of color or for women than for white men? And we're pleased, we reported this before, this is not news, but I'm just reminding those of you who haven't been part of that study and that process, that we subjected the data to rigorous statistical analysis and found that although there is some unevenness, in other words, unevenness across faculties about how long it takes to be promoted or between one rank and another, we did not find any bias that affected race or gender. We did find the only two findings of significance were that younger staff and international staff tend to be promoted slightly quicker, slightly faster. And there are interesting reasons why that's the case. For example, I think that the expectation that young staff to be appointed in the first place will have a PhD is the norm today in most fields, whereas 20 years ago it was not the norm, or not necessarily the case, that you had to have a PhD. And so getting onto that ladder, that first rung of the ladder, most of our academics start off at a higher level, and hence the younger academics in the last 10 years have been promoted at a shorter interval. That may be one of the reasons. We don't know. We haven't been able to identify all of them. The ad hoc promotions criteria, of course, are a range of criteria, not only research, but teaching, leadership, engaged scholarship and community engagement, and especially for those of you who are in some of the professional disciplines like health sciences, where the clinical work itself, which is for many of you 70-80% of how you spend your time, is also recognized as part of the achievement that you have, a part of your achievement. Some of you today are being promoted, or since the 1st of January, are being promoted to the rank of full professor. And that also means that you can look forward to being invited to give an inaugural lecture as a professor. There are 2 versions of that you'll learn. One is you might be asked to give a university inaugural lecture or a faculty inaugural lecture, and it's partly because we don't have enough time. We don't have enough slots in the year for everyone to give a university inaugural lecture, so there's some selection which is discussed with the dean. But you should, I hope you will step forward and volunteer and come up with a topic that will be of general and wide interest, because the rest of the university would love to hear about the body of work that you have done over the last perhaps 10 or 20 years that's brought you to this position of full professor. Furthermore, as full professors, you join the Senate of the university, and with that comes another set of responsibilities. I do hope and encourage you to attend Senate meetings. It's not compulsory, of course. We can't make it compulsory, and we can't remove you from Senate if you don't attend. You're a member of Senate simply by virtue of being a full professor. But it's a responsibility, because the Senate is the site of leadership. It's of academic leadership in the university, and we look to the professoriate in particular for that leadership, and especially for the new generation of professors, for the next generation, to provide fresh ideas, to challenge the received wisdoms and the perhaps weight of the past, which does not always serve us well. And so having this new crop of professors joining the Senate is really important. We also expect of professors the responsibility to take on mentorship of younger colleagues, the special task and onus, in a way, duty of being a full professor. Hopefully you've had the benefit of mentors before you, and this is now the opportunity for you to give back, and one that will continue throughout your lives to retirement and beyond. As Aristotle, I think it was, has said, the excellence reflected through your promotion, and especially through achieving professorship, is not an act or a once-off achievement. Excellence is a habit. And certainly the experience we have of academics who have been promoted is that it becomes an inspiration to further achievement. Those of you who are not yet full professors, hopefully this will inspire you and motivate you to work harder to that goal. But also for those of you who are professors, to continue the kind of leadership you've shown, the kind of research productivity, the kind of teaching, the kind of mentorship, the kind of role modeling that you've done, and that has made the university so great. And finally, let me return to the family members and say, we know that to get that this is hard work, that the nature of an academic job, although some people from the outside look at the flexibility of the hours, the flexibility of leave, the fact that you don't clock in and clock out, as if it is a job which is a light job, a job that leaves you lots of free time. The reality, especially for those who work so hard to achieve promotion, is that it's a job that has no boundaries, that one is marking on weekends and in evenings. One often has to do research after hours. It's not because there just isn't time in the day. And so that has an impact on family life, and the achievement to some extent is also the achievement of family members who've provided the support for their loved ones to achieve these promotions. And so I want to invite you, I don't know if any of you still have wine left or glasses left, because you probably got your glasses filled more than half an hour ago, but I want to invite you anyway. I want to drink a toast to all of those who have been promoted ad hominem this evening, and to say well done, and may you go from strength to strength. To all of the ad hominem promotees. Cheers. And now I'm going to invite, Professor Lange back to take us through the next part of the proceedings.
Thank you very much. Now I would like to call on all the deans to introduce their recipients to the Vice-Chancellor. Please, all the deans, when come here, please stay until everybody has gone through the procedure. Professor Suellen Shay, Professor Mlenga Jere, representing the Graduate School of Business. Not here. Here. Professor Jere Bagraim from Faculty of Commerce. I will do it. Professor Alison Lewis. Professor Bongani Mayosi, Professor David Wardle, Prof. Penelope Andrews, Professor Susan Bourne. You all there? Okay, there you go. So you need to introduce. Okay. Dr. Linda Roney, sorry, I just need to, is you here? Oh, sorry. So, Prof. Suellen, Shay, and you can come one by one afterwards.
I have the privilege of introducing the staff from CHED who've been promoted, but I want to just acknowledge my colleague Bongani Madiba, who in fact oversaw the ad hoc process while I was away last year. I don't think he's here this evening. So I get to do the fun part and he had to do all the work. I'd like to call up Dr. Kasturi Bahari Leek, who has been promoted to senior lecturer, and Kasturi is in SILT, the Center for Innovations in Learning and Teaching. Would you just stand up here, Kasturi, and then we'll do the picture. This is Anita Campbell. Is Anita here? Anita's has been promoted to senior lecturer, and she's in the ADP aspect program in EBE. Mr. Daniel Munene. Didn't see Daniel. There he is. Welcome, Daniel. Daniel's been promoted to senior lecturer and is the director of the EDU in Commerce. And then Dr. Janice McMillan. Janice has been promoted to associate professor, and she is also in SILT. And then in absentia, we have Associate Professor Francois Silliers, who's in the ADP Health Sciences, who is promoted to professorship.
Good. Good. Can you get us to them? Thank you. Congratulations.
Good evening. I'm standing in for Associate Professor Miu Soko, our school director. And please allow me to invite Dr. Linda Roney. Dr. Roney has been promoted from senior lecturer to associate professor.
Jeff Bagraim from the Faculty of Commerce. I'm representing our Dean, Professor Ingrid Willard. It gives me great pleasure to call up our ad hominem promotions. Mr. Carlos de Jesus from lecturer to senior lecturer from the College of Accounting. Mr. Rian Mabuta is promoted to senior lecturer from the College of Accounting. Mrs. Sumaya West, promoted to senior lecturer from the College of Accounting. Dr. Andrew Kerr, promoted to associate professor from Data First. Commerce is very busy. Dr. Giselle Willows, promoted to Associate Professor from the College of Accounting.
Okay, good. Let's stand here. Well, congratulations.
It gives me great pleasure to acknowledge those in the Faculty of Engineering and the Built Environment who have been promoted. The first is Mr. Joachim Mackey, who's promoted to Principal Technical Officer in Chemical Engineering. Dr. Kirsty Carden, who's been promoted to Senior Research Officer, and she's part of the Future Water Institute. Ms. Jenny Visa, who's been promoted to Senior Research Officer, and she's part of the Centre for Minerals Research. Mr. Gideon Kaufman, he's a Senior Technical Officer, and he's part of the Catalysis Institute. Mrs. Kehinde Awodela, who's been promoted to Senior Lecturer in the Department of Electrical Engineering. Mr. Simon Hull, who's been promoted to Senior Lecturer in the Division of Geomatics. Dr. Malebogo Ngwepe, who's been promoted to Senior Lecturer in the Department of Mechanical Engineering. Mr. Saul Nurek, who's been promoted to Senior Lecturer in the Department of Construction, Economics and Management. Dr. Megan Becker, who's been promoted to Associate Professor in the Centre for Minerals Research. Dr. Dennis Kalumba, who's been promoted to Associate Professor in the Department of Civil Engineering. Dr. Steve Kim Yun, who's been promoted to Associate Professor in the Department of Mechanical Engineering. Dr. Sebastian Skatula, Associate Professor in the Department of Civil Engineering. We're overcrowding your stage here. Associate Professor Bull Barenser, who's now a full professor in the Department of Electrical Engineering. And Associate Professor Azim Khan, who's now a full professor in the Department of Electrical Engineering.
Let's make 2 rows here. Half of you stand on the thing, and you stand between below. Some of you come first. Some next. Well done.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure for me to congratulate the 35 members of the Faculty of Health Sciences who've been promoted this evening. You will be pleased to learn that 14 of them are on call, so they could not come tonight. So I will introduce the remaining 21, starting with Mrs. Famida Harris, who's been promoted to the position of Senior Clinical Educator in the Department of Health and Rehabilitation Sciences. Mrs. Jane Leroux, who's been promoted to Senior Clinical Educator in the Department of Health and Rehabilitation Services. Ms. Celeste Samuels, promoted to Senior Lecturer, to Senior Clinical Educator in the Department of Health and Rehabilitation Sciences. And the next one is Dr. Amal Abrahams, who's been promoted to the position of Senior Lecturer in the Division of Cell Biology, Department of Human Biology. Dr. Ashley Chin, who's been promoted to the rank of Associate Professor in the Division of Cardiology, Department of Medicine. Dr. Claudia Gray, who's promoted to Associate Professor, Division of Pediatric Medicine, Department of Pediatrics and Child Health. She's not here. Claudia is not here. The next one is Dr. Ross Hofmeyer, who's promoted to the rank of Associate Professor in the Department of Anesthesiology and Perioperative Medicine. Dr. Renks Leshwenya, who's promoted to the rank of Associate Professor in the Division of Dermatology, Department of Medicine. Dr. Mushi Machila, promoted to the rank of Associate Professor, Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology. Dr. Judith McKenzie can start lining up on this side. Dr. Judith McKenzie is promoted to the rank of Associate Professor in the Division of Disability Studies, Department of Health and Rehabilitation Sciences. Dr. Jill Olivier, who's been promoted to the rank of Associate Professor, Division of Health Policy and Systems, Department, School of Public Health and Family Medicine. Dr. Maylene Shanking, promoted to the rank of Associate Professor, Division of Health Policy and Systems, School of Public Health and Family Medicine. Dr. Sudesh Sivarasu, to the rank of Associate Professor, Division of Biomedical Engineering, Department of Human Biology. Dr. Helen Buchanan has been promoted to the rank of Associate Professor in the Department of Health and Rehabilitation Sciences. Dr. Jantina De Vries has been promoted to the rank of Associate Professor and Chief Research Officer in the Department of Medicine. Associate Professor Alan Breyer has been promoted to the rank of Full Professor in the Division of Neurology, Department of Medicine. Associate Professor Alan Davidson has been promoted to the rank of Full Professor in the Division of in the Department of Pediatrics and Child Health. Associate Professor Ikechi Okpechi has been promoted to the rank of Full Professor in the Division of Renal Medicine and Hypertension, Department of Medicine. Is Ike here? Looks like he's also on call. He's been called on an emergency. The next colleague is Associate Professor Elelwani Ramugonda, who has been promoted to the rank of Full Professor in the Department of Health and Rehabilitation Sciences. Elelwani is not here. Okay. I hope. Okay. Thank you. Very good timing to that end of the. And finally, Associate Professor Andrea Rother has been promoted to the rank of full professor in the Division of Environmental Health in the School of Public Health and Family Medicine. Thank you. Good.
Do you want to just
Yes.
see if there's no one else who's left?
Yes, well, because the long list, someone might have turned up. Anyone else from Health Sciences? All done. Okay.
You know, so half of you on the stage and half of you next to you.
Yeah.
Bongani, you're down next to you.
Yeah, good. Sure.
Congratulations. Huge achievement for the
I'd like us now to pay tribute to those who have been promoted in the Faculty of Humanities. We have a mere 20 who should be here today, and none of them has the excuse of being on call if they aren't here. So we have 8 staff who have been promoted from lecturer to senior lecturer. In the Department of Philosophy, Dr. Tom Anger. In the Centre of Film and Media Studies, Dr. Ron Irwin. In the Afrikaans section of the School of Languages and Literatures, Dr. Sonja Lewitz. From the African Languages section of the School of Languages, Dr. Retabile Posa. From the Michaelis School of Fine Art, Mr. Fabian Sapto. From the Centre of Film and Media Studies, Dr. Alexia Smith. From the opera section of the South African College of Music, Mr. George Stevens. And from the Michaelis School of Fine Art, Mrs. Anna Titsa. We have 9 colleagues who've been promoted from senior lecturer to associate professor. From the College of Music, Dr. Sylvia Brainders. From the Centre of Film and Media Studies, Wallace Chuma. From the Department of Psychology, Wachbi Long. From the Department of Sociology, Frank Matose. From the Department of Sociology, Elena Moore. And from the Department of Sociology, Amrita Pandey. And from the South African College of Music, Dizu Plaikis. singing for his supper somewhere. From the classics section of the School of Languages and Literatures, Dr. Roman Roth. And from the South African College of Music, Martin Watts. And we have 3 colleagues who've been promoted from associate professor to full professor. From the Center of Film and Media Studies, Adam Haupt. From the Department of Psychology, Kathy Ward. And from the Arabic section of the School of Languages and Literatures, Yassine Dutton.
Some of you will come onto the platform.
Good evening, everybody. Dr. Price from the Faculty of Law. Contrary to popular opinion, less lawyers are being produced than doctors, engineers, and sociologists. So we have 3 people from the Faculty of Law who've been promoted from senior lecturer to associate professor. First, Dr. Kathleen Powell from the Department of Public Law. Then Dr. Leanne Tong from the Department of Commercial Law. Dr. Jacqueline Yates, I don't think, maybe she's on call too. Congratulations, everybody.
Dr. Price, it's a great pleasure for me to welcome and to introduce you to the colleagues from the Faculty of Science who have been promoted. To begin with, to Principal Scientific Officer, Dr. Eileen Murray from the Department of Chemistry. To Chief Technical Officer, Ms. Shakira Sattar from the Department of Molecular and Cellular Biology. Then 2 academics have been promoted from lecturer to senior lecturer. Dr. Clive Oliver from the Department of Chemistry. And Dr. Sahul Yaqub from the Department of Physics. Three people have been promoted from senior lecturer to associate professor. From the Department of Environmental and Geographical Sciences, Dr. Babatunde Abiyodo. From the Department of Molecular and Cell Biology, Dr. Robert Ingle. And from the Department of Geological Sciences, Dr. Philip Janney. And 3 colleagues who've been promoted from associate professor to full professor. From the Department of Archaeology, Associate Professor Becky Ackerman. Also from the Department of Archaeology, Associate Professor Shadrach Cherukuri. And from the Department of Computer Science, Associate Professor James Gain.
That's our team. Come and join us on the floor, on the front floor. So half of you need to come around. Two more, that's great. Yeah. Have we got maybe? You've got all the way on one side and all the way on the other? Oh, I think let's ask one. Sure, let's go. Congratulations to all of you. So my point is made about the wonderful achievements, and some of you I've recognized many of the people coming up through the various committees and interactions I have. And I'm reminded about how diverse their achievements are. One or two who have led the way in online learning and postgraduate online degrees. One or two who have been central to our transformation initiatives around the institutional culture, the Works of Arts Committee, heritage issues. So all of them, of course, have been prominent in various ways in research. One or two who've been recognized and rewarded through teaching awards. And it's really wonderful to see you all here again, to celebrate this with you and with your families. That's the end of the formal part of the function, and I invite you to join us next door, where we've got cocktails and finger supper for you, and to celebrate and congratulate each other. Thank you very much for coming. Thanks to all of you.